And with this, let's start the real ABAPConf. And who guesses the movie? Exactly. And while we already at science fiction movies like Aliens, so yesterday I was doing a little time traveling. So I went back to the year 2017 and I looked at the SAP announcement from 2017 up to 2026. And there was a lot of buzzwords and technologies and concepts announced and pushed. And I was looking at them and I was trying to cluster them via an AI. This is what came up. And as you can see, they are building up. Yeah, normally, you have more stuff in below, then things, some sort of evolution, it goes up, wrong direction. And one thing I found very interesting is several topics like steampunk, extensibility, clean core. Back in 2017, they were already visible, more or less, but not really promoted. But these pillars in between are the ones that in the end survived. And if we take all these buzzwords technology out there, you can see what survived in the end is not blockchain. It's not NFT. It's not X data, O data, or the operational data from Qualtrics. What survived is basically the technologies that the customers are using. If you take a look, 9 years ago, analytics is always important. Intelligent enterprise evolved into like an agentic ERP or autonomous ERP system. But in the end, the stuff like Leonardo, we're still using Leonardo, HCP, IoT. We're using blockchain for, I don't know what, NFT. We're using X data, Qualtrics. It was hyped. It was hyped. We're still using, for instance, analytics. Embedded analytica, hands go up. Who's using the business technology platform? Hands go up. Who's using extensibility, clean core, ATT, Eclipse? Everybody. And the good news is, what I've also found out while looking at all these presentations, there's also a shift when SAP is going to communicate nowadays all this stuff. They are realizing, hey, our customers are maybe not too much interested in sustainability solutions or blockchain-based solutions. They are really focused more about what helps them, which is normal. Customers are buying SAP not because they are like, hey, why not? I like problems. No? They're buying it because they want to solve a problem. They're buying it because they want to do their year-end closing. They want to do it legally perfect. And then go to SAP and they get a very perfect solution for this. You also want to be able to extend stuff, and you want a solution that gets out of the way and enables you to deliver. And I think 2 years ago, one customer from SAP was like saying, hey, for SAP, the most important language is ABAP. I'm going to say, I'm not sure if the most important one for SAP, but for sure for all the SAP customers that are heavily invested, ABAP is the most important language. And that's a whole new level of no new dimension, because there are just more SAP customers and partners invested so heavily in ABAP compared to SAP. So it is for us also super important to understand that, hey, this is the language we need to master. And I have to say, I never found a single person in my life that got fired because it went to a manager and said, hey, I want to learn ABAP. You're definitely not going to get fired, because what you're doing here is you're upskilling yourself. And every company that is an SAP customer normally is happy to have someone that steps up and say, I want to learn ABAP. And this also brings me to the new ITT development tools for VS Code, because it always was a little bit complicated to convince the new ones to join the ABAP world. When you opened the suppler one, it was like, holy shit, what is this? And then you said, hey, I have you. I have a super cool IDE. It's called Eclipse. And then you were like, where's the junior guy running? Because he left or fled the SAP world. And now we have, at least finally for VS Code also, which is one of the most hyped, or still one of the most hyped IDEs, but it makes it easier for new joiners to also learn ABAP. So where's Thomas Ritter? Yeah. Enjoy it. I take it in a year, right? We all know there's no yeah, believe me, you will still get your part from this presentation. There also, I also have to say, there it was released. This screenshot is 1 week after it was released, and it was 9,000 installs. I believe it's currently over 15,000. And forget the installs. What I really like is, even if the rating is not so good, people are so upset about the quality of the extension that they are raising their voice. And if you look, for instance, at some Fiori extensions, like 100,000 or 200,000 installs, no like, no rating, no nothing. So this is community. Yeah. Look at the bright side. This is community, and we also have to say it works. The scope is limited, but it works. And I have to say, it's really, really cool, because you can create a class, and you can also use, for instance, your AI, write a unit test, run it on ATC, it works, unit test works, and it also marks automatically which lines of code were covered. If you do the same stuff, for instance, with JavaScript, you have like you install 20 plugins. It comes out of the box and it works. Now look at the bright side. And it comes also with the ABAP MCP server, with a lot of tools. And the first thing I saw was like this asterisk on the announcement, and it was like, oh shit. But then I found this site where the tools are actually explained, and guess what? On the most of there's one column, it's always written, no tool license required. So we can use it with our own AI, even if you're not a tool customer, and we can use it to, get better at coding. And also here, it works. Okay, it's experimental state. You have to activate it. Could be a little bit easier, but as Thomas started, it's still in the early phase. So this is normal, and it works. I started it, and my VS Code said, hey, I found an MCP server from SAP. Should I use it? It works. And it's usable. What else do we want? And to give you a small picture about this, I said, okay, let's take a look at classic ABAP. And the bicycle was invented here in Mannheim, I believe 200 years ago, 200 and a little bit. And the first bicycle that was invented, that's like classic ABAP. You can sit down on it, you have to use your feet to push forward, but you are fast. You can go faster than on a horse. It's easier to maintain. It gets the job done. Classic ABAP, reports, for instance. Then with a modern ABAP, we get a road racing bike, like the ones they use on the Tour de France. What is our modern ABAP? Unit tests, ATC, RESTful application programming model, Fiori elements, ATT, and so on. And now, with ABAP AI enhancements, what we get is like a time trial bike. So it's still the same, more or less, from the concept, but now we can go super fast. The problem is only what we get from SAP is not the whole bike, we only get the frame set. But I don't know if you're a little bit into bike racing or triathlon, or I'll give you a hint. The frame set can be super expensive. That stuff is incredible. You look at some bikes and it's like the whole bike is 5,000 euros and you think, well, that's really expensive. No. Though such a frame set can easily cost 7,000, 10,000, 20,000 and above. And the cool thing is we get this for free from SAP. We have ATT, we have other tooling, unit tests. We have now ABAP MCP for the frame set for 20,000 euros we get for free. And now comes the task for us, customers, partners. If we have the frame set that costs so much, it makes no sense to buy a wheel, a front wheel or rear wheel for 5 euros. So we have to invest heavily. The old saying is shit in, shit out. And if we do not invest in our tooling, if we do not invest in a very good LLM, AI, if we do not invest into governance, into other tooling, it just doesn't help, because we have a frame set that is made to compete in the Tour de France, and we are equipping it with stuff from Temu, from an outlet store for 5 euros. Makes no sense. So, but if we do everything right, what we get is a really, really good bike that allows us to compete the Ironman distance and the Tour de France. But the problem here still is, if we have done everything of this, we have a really nice bike, but how far can I go with this bike like it is here? Not even an inch. It's just a tool. What I still need is someone that can drive the bike. And this is the next problem you have. If you give, for instance, to me, such an endurance time trial bike for Tour de France, for an Ironman, and set me on top, it's totally wasted. I'm not capable of riding the bike like it should be. I'm not trained. I don't know how all the position, the aero position and so works. So you need someone that is trained for this. You need a professional bike racer or an amateur that is really investing its time. Then you can ride the bike, and also then if you have your ABAP skilled people fit for this and your company is made fit for this, everything, then you ultimately can benefit from all the tooling you have. Now, the only problem here is we are now super fast on the bike. We have a person that can compete for the Tour de France. And then we take a look a little bit outside of the SAP world, how others are doing it, the next generation coding, and they have a rocket. Oh, they go to space, they can put satellites in orbit, and they can create a whole new level of communication. And here I have to now do a little bit of a context break to not say it's a commercial break, because if you take a look at these two ABAP AI and next-gen coding, we have to say you need people that provide the tooling. For instance, we have software. You do not need to take too much care or time about redeveloping an e-voice solution or output management, or take the tooling. Buy from a partner what's already available instead of reinventing the wheel. You need people like the trained. Go to Søren and Jörg from Brandeis. Train them. Yeah? You need the right people to be able to benefit from all what you provide to them. And if we take a look at the next-gen coding, then we here at the platinum sponsors from Contact and Nova Intelligence, because they are providing the rocket. But you still need people that are able to control the command center. But this is what you need in the end. Not just the tooling, you also need to take away also obstacles and ensure that it works for you. Do not reinvent the wheel, use what's available, and then hopefully next year you are in the rocket and can look down at the competition. And last year, Paul, the guy who came too late from the Deutsche Bahn, he gave a presentation, a keynote, and one of the slides is we should make developers efficient. So this is a leitmotif we have. And it seems it was a little bit too abstract for our SAP colleagues, so we're making it a little bit simpler today. We're writing a to-do list. Now you're going to suffer, Thomas. So first, one thing, remember this slide with the 22 ratings for the extension. One thing I have to say, partially these persons are not right, because read what was announced back then, but we also have to say announce more, communicate more, provide tutorials, do the expectation management. I think 50% of the backslash you received SAP from the IDT VS Code extension simply is because there was management of the expectations. And if you do like an ATT extension that has the version 1.00, people can also say, hey, I already have an ATT extension for Eclipse, or 1.0 means it's equal. But it's not how it works. Also, maybe you can take a look at what others are doing at SAP. There is already an SAP extension for a connection manager for SAP systems. Maybe we can reuse that extension for managing our SAP extensions to our SAP system. Think about it. There's also an SAP CDS language support extension available, which I find very funny because it's written SAP CDS language extension, and you have to click on it, you read a little bit, and then you find out for CAP CDS. Or maybe we can merge all of those, and I really want to see this here would be nice, how we can run this extension from you, Thomas, on a VS Code dev container with a remote dev container, because there I do not have Sublogon installed to create the system connection. Which brings me back to Connection Manager for SAP systems. Also, artificial intelligence and SAP. I also can say here, dear SAP, thanks for the MCP server, but we also need to feed it. Documentation as Markdown, not as an HTML with JavaScript. Provide maybe all those best practices that are available hidden in the documentation as Markdown, as an architecture decision record. And also MCP server itself is nice, but also provide AI skills or provide a platform or some sort where we can exchange different AI skills. So there's an MCP server from AWS, works also a little bit better than the one from SAP. But the difference is from the AWS, you get a set of AI skills, like document my source code. What are the interfaces? And this really adds value to an MCP server, because the MCP server, again, is just a tool. It's just a frame set. What we need is the front wheel and the rear wheel, which are like the AI skills. Help us getting the best out of what you provide. Also, I also can just say, please embrace the competition. And it's not even a competition if we are honest. If you take a look at what's going around, what people are creating like crazy around this VS Code about the ATT APIs, please release those ATT APIs for developers so we can use them legally without any problem, because we are not your enemies. Yeah, we are not your enemy. We are your users, customers, friends, and developers. If you look what was created, it's amazing. So many MCP servers, so many skills, and so on. So please go to them, talk to them, and maybe we can really make this bicycle move. Also, another to-do for security, please SAP, I know CVA is for free on the BTP, I want to have it for free on-premise. This is a tool chain. This is about the quality. You will see also later on the talk from Wolfgang about how they are using CVA on the cloud. But please also for on-premise, full stack app scan would be nice. So ATC, I have my Fiori applications also on stack on the NetWeaver server. Please scan them too. Give me an SBOM for everything. And please be advised, dear SAP, help us to solve the problems that may come in the next 2 or 3 years regarding the BSI recommendations. That is the Federal Security Agency instance here, because they're rolling out a new version and there is no ABAP or SAP specialty any longer. Now we have to fulfill the same requirements as any other software development. And also, what's in the API policy, I also can say here what's in the FAQ, write it down into the API policy. If your API policy is like 2 pages and your FAQ is 10 times the amount or even more, something is wrong. So put everything into the API policy, give access to our data. We are not using SAP for fun. Yeah? It's our data we are writing in there. And I really think when we get these ATT APIs published officially somewhere in a document, would be perfect. And also, where's my S4HANA Developer Edition? Where is it? I mean, it's super great. Currently, it's like I have the frame set, I have the rear wheel, I have the front wheel, but there's no saddle on it. I can sit down without hurting. Please, where's my Developer Edition? I want to try stuff out. I want to use it. Sometimes it's not just about, hey, I want to go to my department and ask for them to set up single sign-on. I just want to have this. And also from the last year, the /H, I also can reinforce this if you want to develop Fiori applications. Where's the Fiori? Where's Christoph? Yeah, this is now for you. I showed it once to a developer, and he was looking at me like, is this a joke? These are the transactions it's just a part of the transactions you need to know to develop Fiori applications. There are a lot about cleaning the cache, setting up the stuff, activating services, I don't know what else. Plus, we have the Fiori app library, we have the Fiori Launchpad admin applications on top. And God help me, there are new development apps I should also learn, like custom development, custom logic, CDS views, and so on. So please help us to focus on what is actually important. And when you give us an MCP server, do one for Fiori apps. I just want to say, clean the cache. The app needs to work. I have a user, ABC. He has currently the transaction I don't know what assigned. Fiori apps MCP server, fix it for me. Get me the corresponding Fiori app, activate it, create the role, create the space, pages, I don't know what else, and just make it work. Or give me a Fiori config file for Fiori app that I can point my AI to and say, hey, these are the 20 files, 20 applications, do it for me. Yeah, I don't want to care about all the nitty-gritty details. Also, roadmaps, I have to say, it's getting worse and worse each time. Sometimes I'm looking at all these roadmaps informations. First, I fail to find where I have to look for. There's no roadmap explorer. There are information in sub-help. There is information in SAP notes. There's information in the SCN. There are information shared on some events. There's information on LinkedIn. There is everywhere is information. And then you have like this. Plan to release SAP S4HANA. Which one? Which release? SAP S4HANA. And then you see a SAP S4HANA Cloud Private Edition 2025 Service Pack 3.
Smartphone connected.
Yeah, also, sometimes I'm wondering, this is again to ATT. When I understood the blog post correctly, most of the heavy lifting is done on the back end, right? So now there's an A missing, manage. But now I'm wondering, okay, if most of the stuff is done in the back end, it should be easy to have a certain feature parity easily. Why, for instance, cannot I create an ABAP package with ATT for VS Code, but I can do it for Eclipse? I don't understand it. Also, manage ABAP packages for private edition. What happened to S4HANA? Doesn't it work in the cloud? Speaks the language of your customers. Yeah, make it easier for us. Yeah, for instance, just really fast. The last time I saw roadmaps is like, we're going to release it in Q3. Great, Q3 is a long time. At least say us in which month. And better, and this is what customers are planning for, say us in which calendar week we are going to expect a certain feature. Because if you take a look at this, the quarter is just too abstract. The month is already little bit complicated. We need it on a calendar week level, and then we have, once again, planning that can be done like this. We know when is for which version, in which calendar week is something coming. Or when we have in go live or we have in release planning, we can also simply say, okay, one source, and when I'm going live in calendar week 15, this is what I have. If I go live or plan to do something in calendar week 30, these are the features that I can have, and so on. Because currently, to get some like an overview of this, is just too much work. And one of the last slides, I also can reinforce this here. We have 3 pillars we have to take care of always. It is innovation, people, and optimization. And every cent we spend on maintaining that SAP overhead, is money we are missing to actually do our job. So thanks for the frame set. Well, thanks for the frame set. Thanks to the customers and partners for selling stuff that helps us to build the bike, but still we need to get into the rocket. And this is a whole new level, and we need to really get all the obstacles out of the way. So be reminded, don't exaggerate on the licenses. Make it easier for us to find information. And if all of this is done, I'm pretty much, we have this. And that's from our side, because now we are going to switch over to the real agenda. I hope I was not taking too much time. Because now we have the real keynote, which is secure and automate ABAP Cloud full stack development process from concept to successful delivery. Wolfgang, listen. Normally there's a simple rule. Yeah. If your title beats the space you have on a postcard, it's rejected. But unfortunately, I asked you to give the keynote, so it was allowed. But this is really, I believe, one of the longest keynotes title I ever had seen in my life. And thanks to SAP for ABAP Cloud. So this is all. And yeah, the next keynote is then Karl Kessler. But first, we're now going to have our friends from Axiom with Wolfgang, Dr. Wolfgang Röcklein and Markus Bittner. They are talking about how they are using all this tooling that's available to build their time trial bike. And then we're going to have the keynote from ABAP Cloud, where the SAP colleagues, Jens Weiler and Andre Fischer, are going to explain us what SAP is doing to ensure that we have this really nice frame set to build our own bike. And with this, I hand over to you two guys, Wolfgang and Markus from Axiom.
Thank you.